who specialize in hadith, they needed to know not only what the Prophet said, but they need to know everything about this chain of narration, about the people and their biography and their trustworthiness. And one hadith could be narrated in so many different ways, because when a scholar, one of the Sahaba says the hadith, 100 people hear him, right? And these 100 people go and narrate it to 1,000 people. So the hadith may come to you from so many different narration, riwayat, the same hadith, sometimes with some different words of the hadith itself. So the muhaddith, the word hafiz, what do we mean by the word hafiz when we say this person is hafiz? Usually what do you think about? Okay. But the word hafiz in Islamic history, in Islamic studies, hadith, refers not to hafiz al-Quran, because hafiz al-Quran was normal, right? Many people hafiz al-Quran, that's not a big deal. But hafiz refers to like al-Hafiz ibn Kathir, Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, and you go al-Hafiz ibn Kathir. It's a title for a person who knows so many hadith. And we're talking here about thousands, we're not talking about hundreds. We're talking about thousands of hadith. They know the hadith and they know also the chain. So when we say إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, we always go to the last part of the hadith itself. But no, they have to mention everyone in the chain of narration. And you have tens of chains of narration of the same hadith. You understand? So, because the hadith may come to you from these people, or from these people, from these people. So you have so many chains of narrations to the same hadith. So they know the hadith, and they know the hadith with the chain of narration. So you know 15, 16, 20 people, and you know everything about them. And not only their names, you know their names, their title, their nicknames, and sometimes there is similarity. You know, Abu al-Munzir or Abu Abdullah, and so on. When they are added to the name, then they have a much longer names. And sometimes people are mentioned by their names, and sometimes are mentioned by their nickname, Abu Abdullah, and so on. So Al-Hafiz is the one who knows thousands of hadith with the chain of narration. But there's another name, actual title given to those who are not just Hafiz, like Imam Al Bukhari. You know what is his nickname? Or his title, sorry, his title is Amir al-Mu'mineen. You know Amir al-Mu'mineen, who is Amir al-Mu'mineen?
He's a Khalifa.
So Abu Bakr Siddiq is not Well, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, they chose a title for Abu Bakr. So they said the Khalifa Rasulullah. Right? The name just came to put out Khalifa. Fits here. He's the one who succeeds the Prophet ﷺ. And then when Abu Bakr died and Umar came in, they said, well, we will call him Khalifa of the Khalifa of Rasulullah. Right? But they found it to be, what's happened next? Khalifa of the Khalifa of the Khalifa. You know? So someone came up with this name, Amir al-Mu'mineen. He's the Amir. And he's the Amir of the believers. So the word Amir al-Mu'mineen came from this context. And instead of saying the Khalifa of the Khalifa of Rasulullah, they said Amir al-Mu'mineen, Umar. And Al-Faruq is his nickname. Right? But in Ilm al-Hadith, when someone knows hundreds of thousands of hadith, then he's called Amir al-Mu'mineen fil Hadith. It's not a political title, it is a scientific title, it's a scholarship title. So Imam Al Bukhari is Amir al-Mu'mineen fil Hadith. What does this mean? It means that he knows, can you guess how many hadith he memorized? Not the hadith, not only what the Prophet said, but hadith with its narration. 600,000 hadith. 600,000. He knows them. Imam Al Bukhari, one thing you need to know about him, he is just a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, people, sometimes Allah gives some people some genius abilities. Imam Al Bukhari is one of the few people in human history who can memorize things very quickly, with a very sharp mind. Now if I ask you to pick up Riyadh al-Salihin, written by Imam Nawawi, he has just memorized 10 hadith with a short narration. He don't mention the Sahabi, the Tabi'i, and that's it. 3 or 4 people before the hadith. That would be difficult. Right? Hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of hadith. Right? So out of these hundreds of thousands, 600,000, do you know the most famous book written by Imam Al Bukhari? Huh? Sahih Al Bukhari. Actually, the name is not Sahih Al Bukhari. You know, when he the author, right? He wrote the name for it. What is the name of the book that is known as Sahih Al Bukhari? The official name is Al Jami' Al Sahih. Al Jami' means collected. Al Sahih. Al Jami' Al Sahih. Known as Sahih Al Bukhari. When you say Sahih Al Bukhari, you are referring to Al Jami' Al Sahih, the same. Actually, most of the printed books, Sahih Al Bukhari. You know, Gold Bar, Sahih Al Bukhari. How many hadith in Sahih Al Bukhari? Can you guess? 4,000. Almost 4,000 hadith. So why is that? If he knows 600,000 hadith, why then he put only 4,000 hadith? That's a good question. And this actually takes us to the methodology of Imam Al Bukhari and why this book is so special. Why this book is so special. Imam Al Bukhari, we will study Imam Al Bukhari, and before we get into the methodology of Imam Al Bukhari, Kutub al Hadith, the most famous collections of hadith are known as 6, 7, and 8. So when you say As-Sihah As-Sitta, the 6 books of hadith. Number 1 is Imam Bukhari, then number 2, Imam Muslim, number 3, Imam Al-Tirmidhi, and then Abu Dawood, Ibn Majah, and Imam Al-Nasa'i. You need to know these 6 names. When you say Rawahu Sitta, the 6 narrators recorded this hadith, this means it is in Bukhari. This hadith is infallible in Bukhari, infallible in Muslim, and also Al-Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, and Imam Abu Dawood, and Imam Nasa'i.
All of them have it?
Yes, when they said Rawahu Sitta, narrated by the Sitta, by the 6. So, Kutub al-Ahadith is Sitta. These are the most famous and reliable books of hadith. And when they add, one of them is, or Sab'ah, they add Muwatta Imam Malik. We talked about Imam Malik last year, and he has his own book called Al-Muwatta. So, it's added to it. Or Al-Thamaniyah, the 8, then they add Musnad and Imam Ahmad. Musnad Ahmad also is a huge encyclopedia. Imam Ahmad is one of the shuyukh of Al-Bukhari. We talk about Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the founder of the Hanbali madhab, right? He was also a muhaddith as well. Not every faqih is a muhaddith. You need to distinguish between the two. And not every muhaddith is a faqih. And by the way, the relationship between muhaddithin and fuqaha is a matter of authority. Who has more authority here? Some muhaddithin, modern muhaddithin, say that muhaddithin, because the muhaddithin, the one who knows which hadith is authentic and which hadith is not authentic. So he has the higher authority. The faqih takes this hadith to issue a fatwa, right? The muhaddith originally does not issue fatwas. That's not his job. His job is to memorize the hadith, and he knows the da'if and sahih and so on. And then he gives it to faqih, and the faqih takes it and takes other dalil, Quran and other hadith and put them together, and he makes fatwa or hukm out of this. Okay? So not every faqih has to be a muhaddith, right? And Abu Hanifa is not a muhaddith. He knows, of course, of hadith, but he's not a muhaddith. Imam al-Shafi'i is a great faqih, but he is not known as a muhaddith. He relied on Ahmad ibn Hanbal and Ishaq ibn Rahawayh and others, right? But he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to fiqh. So we need to understand that the scholarship in Islam is not as simple as many people think. People look at an imam and say, oh, imam is, no, he knows everything. He knows hadith and fiqh and history and theology or aqa'id. This is not the case. Can we find some fuqaha who are muhaddithin or fuqaha? Yes, of course, there are many of them. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal is one of them. He is a muhaddith. He wrote about 40,000 hadith, musnad, but he's a faqih, right? Imam Al Bukhari is a muhaddith, but he's also a great faqih, as we will see. So these are the 6 or 8 books of hadith that usually ulama rely on them. These are not the only 6 or 8, but there are so many others. Imam Al-Bayhaqi, Ibn Abi Dunya, Abi Hatim, and so many other books of hadith, but these 6 are the most famous ones. Now, what makes Imam Bukhari unique is one of his characteristics and his amazing ability. Number 2 is methodology. Every one of these Imams, before they write hadith, they choose out of tons of hadith, they choose a hadith to add in their book. This hadith must meet a specific criteria. So, Imam al-Bukhari's criteria was perhaps the most strict one. One of the unique things about Imam Bukhari's methodology is that he does not write a hadith unless he knows that everyone in this generation not only lived during the time of the one who took from him, so he's student, for example. Okay? So this person took the hadith from this person. They are both trustworthy. And they lived in the same time. But that's not enough for him. He must know that he heard it from him. Living in the same area is not enough, or the same time is not enough, because you live in the same time, the same state, but you don't have to meet everybody in this state, right? So when they said this person narrates from this person, he must ensure that they live in the same time. يقول اللقية والسماع, المعاصرة والسماع. They live in the same time, and he must find an evidence that this person met this person. To be like his student, he met Hajj with him, or met him in Hajj. He goes and finds. That's why the chain of narration is very well connected. Imam Muslim said that's not necessarily important. If he is trustworthy, and he said, I heard this person saying the hadith, then that for a Muslim that's enough. Okay? Right. Now, Imam Bukhari, as we know, his name is, the word Bukhari is like you say Pakistani or Egyptian or Masri or Sudani. Bukhari because he's coming from a city called Bukhara. And where is Bukhara today? In Uzbekistan. Okay? Bukhara is, Samarkand is the large city, and Bukhara is one of the small cities near Samarkand. So Samarkand is the metropolitan, as they say. Samarkand and Bukhara is part of Samarkand. Uzbekistan today. Right? Uzbekistan was under the Russian occupation, and then Soviet Union occupation, and now they have their own independence. Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan and Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, all these 5 states are now independent. But from this place comes a young boy who was sent to memorize the Quran. His father, by the way, was also muhaddith for the scholar, but he died when Imam Bukhari was young. So Imam Bukhari was an orphan, and his mother took care of him, and they said that Imam Bukhari actually got an eye illness, and his mother was crying and praying and praying and praying. They said that she saw Ibrahim alayhi salam coming to her and saying, have good news, your son will be fine because of your dua, because of your dua to your son. He grew up in Bukhara, and he went to memorize the Quran, of course. That's the first thing that these scholars do. And he went from one city to another collecting the hadith. He found out that he memorized everything he hears. Right? He has this amazing ability. And some people, I met one muhaddith in Egypt who memorized the rates with his own chain of narration, 3,000 hadith. He was one of my shuyukh. I learned from him. And very nice, very humble, and has a sense of humor. And a bunch of us students, knowledge, he told us just give me your phone number before we leave. It's not for us to leave. So every one of us gave him his phone number, 10 of us. and say, "Oh, you Ali, number this and that, okay, Muhammad, this and that, Saeed." And then he told us, "Okay, your number, the same setting." And we were just looking at each other. It's amazing memory. When I tried to play this game, really just to check your memory. You can do it later. If everybody said his phone number once or twice or 3 times, would you memorize 10 phone numbers, 10 individuals? Especially these people are not like people we see every day. It's hard, but I've seen this one all itself. So sometimes Allah gives some people this amazing memory. They listen to one thing once or twice and that's it. And then he stays for years. And he says, "Oh yeah, I know you, I met you this, and your phone number is this and that." So it's just amazing. It's difficult for us now in terms of technology. I know it's part of evolution that we rely more on machines and our memory is horrible, right? So Imam Al Bukhari is one of the people who have this golden, sharp memory. He memorizes everything he hears, everything he writes. He used to go when he was young with his friends. He goes to different shuyukh, listen to the hadith, and they listen to the hadith, the chain of narration, then the hadith, so, and they write that. And he goes and listens. And they tell him, "Why don't you write?" And then he goes and listens, and they write. And after they collected thousands of hadith, they told him that, "What's wrong with that?" Our ulama said, "Al-ilm qayd wal kitabatu sayd." When you listen to a lecture and you take notes, this will stay. Because you may forget 90+% of what has been said. But if you write the main points, like I see some people writing here, then this will stay with them for long, right? So they have their books, they forgot. They go to the book and review it, and they can refresh their memory. So they kept pushing Al Bukhari to write, and they making fun of him. And he was young at that time, 14 years old almost. And he told them, "Well, let's see what you want." And they tell him the hadith, and he gives them the whole chain of narration and all different chains. And he's right. That's one of the early exams that Imam Bukhari went through. And they found out that his memory is much more accurate than what they wrote. So they used to correct what they wrote based on what he says. Later on, his shuyukh actually used to say, "Okay, you know what, this is my book, go and check it and edit it." And he would go, "Yeah, they have some mistakes here, correct it for them." He went to Baghdad. Baghdad was, of course, the capital of knowledge. And he went to Basra and Al-Kufa and Al-Ri, and he went to Damascus, he went to Mecca, of course, and Medina Munawwara. He stayed there for a while, listening to the shuyukh and the people, the individuals who heard the hadith, hear the hadith. Imam Bukhari went to Baghdad about 7 times. And one of these times when he became very famous, extremely famous. And he was 17, 18 years old. And people heard about him coming to Baghdad, and of course everybody went to welcome this young man who amazingly memorized all these narrations and he knows people. So they decided to examine his memory and his accuracy of memorizing the hadith. This is a very famous story of Imam Bukhari. So he came to the big masjid, and they appointed 10 of the scholars of hadith. And every one of these 10 tells him 10 hadith, so total 100 hadith, right? And they did this exam. It's like defending your thesis in PhDs and so on. But this was a very, very difficult exam. So every one of these 10 scholars prepared 10 hadith. But what they did, you have that text, what the Prophet said, comes with, as I said, perhaps 10, 15 different narrations. Okay? So they take this hadith and they put the chain of narration of the other hadith into this hadith. So they could maqloob. Maqloob means you get this hadith with chain of narration and you take this chain and put it in another hadith and vice versa. And they mixed everything up. And here Imam Bukhari was sitting, And I have thousands of people coming to listen to him and ready to write after him. That's like hard disk that has everything in it. And the first Imam, or the scholar, told him, what do you think about this hadith? And he said the hadith and the chain of narration is wrong. Imam Ghazali, I don't know that. In other words, it's not such a thing. He said, I don't know that. Second hadith. He said, no, I don't know. Bukhari said, I don't know that. لا أعرفه. The fourth and the fifth and all 10 hadith said, لا أعرفه, I don't know. Then the second scholar, so how about this hadith? Do you know this hadith? They say the hadith and then also mixed chain of narration. And he says, لا أعرفه, I don't know that. The second, the third, 10 hadith, لا أعرفه. And then the third scholar, and the people said, what kind of person is this? It is the scholar that we came to see. He does not know anything. But these 10 people, they understand what he said. That لا أعرفه means it's not to be narrated this way. And then the third scholar, the fourth, up to the last scholar, almost 100 hadith. And every hadith he said, I don't know it. I don't know that. I don't know such a thing. And then when it was done, and many people were looking at each other. And then he looked at the first scholar, and I said, as for the first hadith, this is the chain of narration of it, not that chain. And the second hadith, from his memory, that was wrong about the chain of narration. It's not to be narrated this way. It should be narrated that way. And the third, the fourth, the fifth, the second scholar, and he memorized the hadith and their chain of narration, and he corrected the 100 hadith in front of everybody. Can you imagine what kind of mind is this? And on that day, everybody said, no, nobody can beat this guy. He is the best. Simple. Simple. So, Imam Al Bukhari, as I said, he traveled to listen and to see the people. Because these people are still alive. And he wanted to ask them about other people. So he goes to the person and he asks him about his name, his nickname, his title, his children, his shuyukh, his students, his parents, and where he was born, and where he migrated to, if he did, and what's his job. All these things he knows about him. And he memorized these things. So if you ask Imam Bukhari about everyone in this long chain of narration, he knows everything about him. And he established this. He wrote one of the famous books he wrote is At-Tarikh Al-Kabir. Tarikh, you know Tarikh? Al-Kabir. He put all this information in this book. So everyone that his name is mentioned as a narrator of hadith, he knows everything about him. That's required for him to narrate a hadith. Yes, of course, he narrated, he knows about 1,000 hadith from 1,000 people. In his books of Sahih Bukhari and others, he got hadith from 1,000 people. He knows their names, everything about them and their biography and so on. Of course, he wrote many books. Sahih Bukhari is, of course, the most famous one. We say Bukhari, you remember Sahih Bukhari. The idea of writing Sahih Bukhari came one day. He was sitting with Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, very famous, one of his Jews, and he said, I wish that someone can write a book that has only the Sahih, authentic hadith of the Prophet, and make it short. Because if you write everything, you memorize 600,000, who's going to read this? So Imam Bukhari said, I was young, and I said, well, I will take this upon myself. I will do that. And he came up with a methodology. These people don't just write anything. He has, if the hadith narrates, chain of narration meets his criteria, then he adds it, and he says, I did not put hadith in my sahih. unless I take a shower and pray 2 rak'ah, and then I put it. This is the last stage after examining everything. And he feels comfortable that this hadith should be included. He would go and take a shower and pray 2 rak'ah, then he goes. One of his students, he said that I went and I spent the night in his house with him. He was studying, and he told me just, stay over tonight. And he said I counted 18 times. He would wake up, write something, and he goes back to sleep. Then he remembers something, and he goes and writes it 18 times. And you can imagine that what kind of wires he has in his brain. It's amazing brain. Imam Al Bukhari also was known as a person who was very devoted to his ibadah and salah. Someone with this ability could have been very arrogant, extremely arrogant. But he was extremely humble, and he was very generous, and when it comes to ibadah, he used to lead his friends and students in Salat al-Taraweeh in Ramadan, and he used to finish the whole Quran one day. Not every day, of course, but that's known for him. He reads the entire Quran, of course, with this kind of memory. He does not make mistakes like we do here in Taraweeh. Right. Amazing memory. Before Fajr, his qiyam is 1/3 to 1/2 of the Quran. Reads in his qiyam. And he used to pray 13 rak'ahs and then make last rak'ah with him. He wrote about the tarajim, the biography of many narrators of hadith near the qabr, or the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He made hajj many times. He said, I stayed in Basra in around 5 years. I have my books. Every year I go for hajj, go back to Al-Basra. He traveled a lot. To meet people, to take a hadith from trustworthy people. And one day he traveled to meet someone, and they told him that he's out of the village because one of his camels ran away. So he said he can just find him in this area. He went out of the village and he found this person trying to bring his camel back. Something happened with camels. Sometimes they just get bored and they run away. And he went to get his camel, and he did his clothes like this, pretending there's some food in his clothes to bring the camel. And then when he saw him saying that he's lying to the camel, so he's not trustworthy to me, I'm not going to take any hadith from him. And he left him. Now I don't know if he's alive today. He applied this methodology on us. How would we be trustworthy according to his criteria? He was zahid in this dunya. He does not like money and building homes. He lived a very simple life. Although his father left some money, and actually he gave this money to some people to do business, because he doesn't want to spend any time doing anything but knowledge. And he was very generous and gives actually scholarships to his students who want to study knowledge. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah said about him, Imam Bukhari and Abu Dawood, he said these people, Al-Bukhari and Abu Dawood, are mujtahid mutlaq. He does not have to be Shafi'i or Hanbali or Hanafi. He is like them, like he's this level of Shafi'i and Abu Hanifa. That's Imam Taymiyyah's judgment of Imam Bukhari and level of knowledge he has. And of course, he became the main reference for students of knowledge and the scholars. Many scholars, actually, including his Jew, they would ask him to correct their narrations based on his understanding. He's a great mujtahid. Some actually said he's Hanbali because his teacher is Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Others said no, he's Shafi'i, he's ijtihad and fiqh. And others said not, he's independent. He's not muqallid to any of the madhab because he's very much qualified to be one of them, and he was not known to be one following one madhab or another. We didn't know so much about how he looks, but they said that he was skinny, not very tall, not very short. And despite this great knowledge and taqwa and wara', Imam Al Bukhari went through a political test. You remember what we said about Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad and Imam Abu Hanifa? They have been tried and pressed hard by two kinds of people: political authority and other scholars who are so envious because Imam Bukhari became the Imam Hadith. Right? This happens all the time. This hasad or hiqd or envy or jealousy is real. It's not a joke. Right? Sometimes it kills people. So Imam Bukhari, just end with this, the trial he went through, it came from two people. Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Dhuhali, his Imam, his teacher, his Shaykh, Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Dhuhali, and other scholars. But the head of these scholars, Fuqaha al-Muhaddithin, was his Shaykh, Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Dhuhali, and another trial he went through the ruler of Bukhara, his hometown. Basically, simply, I'll try to simplify this issue. We talked about Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal last year and the day before about the mihnat khalq al-Quran, a mas'ala in aqidah. Now nobody talks about it. It's not even known. But back then, it was a huge mas'ala, and people are divided about it. And the ruler or the hakim, the political authority, adopted this opinion, and they tortured all scholars who refused to follow this mas'ala. And this when religious mas'ala comes out from scholarship into political, this causes a lot of corruption. So, khalq al-Quran, is al-Quran the word of Allah or created by Allah? Why this mas'ala came? Because Mu'tazilah say that Allah does not speak like us. So Allah created the Quran. Because Allah is so high, it's not like us. He does not speak. So He created the Quran. Right? So, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the majority of scholars said, no, Kalamullah. The Quran is Kalamullah, not the created by Allah. You know the same theological issue about Jesus? Is Jesus created by God? The Christians said, no, he's not created by God. He is the Son of God. Because if he's created by God, this means he does not exist and Allah made him exist. But for Christians, that He, Jesus, and God are the same from the very beginning. You understand? So, they brought the same idea into the Quran. Is the Quran the creation of Allah or the word of Allah? We all believe the Quran is the word of Allah. Allah spoke. Right? Not like we speak, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees, not like the way we see. Allah hears, not like we hear. Right? Anyways, it sounds silly, but back then it was a huge thing. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal almost lost his life because of this. He was tortured very badly. So, this mas'ala was almost gone. So, a branch of this, now, when I recite the Quran with my own tongue, is this recitation created by me, or is it still the word of Allah? Is it the creation of me, the production? I produce it. I can say now, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Is this created, or this is the exact same word of Allah as Allah revealed it?
You're just reciting the word of Allah.
So Imam Bukhari said, Al-Quran, Kalamullah. And my recitation is my recitation. It's mine. I create it. In other words, I produce it. When I want to, when I say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I did it. Right? It sounds silly, as I said, but again, back then was a big thing. So, when Imam Ahmad, when Imam Al Bukhari came back to Naysabur, right? And people went out to welcome him. They did not wait for him inside the city. They went way, like, hundreds of yards to wait for him and to welcome him. And all scholars and students of knowledge and regular people, everybody comes to welcome Imam Bukhari. He's a great Imam. Then Muhammad, this Sheikh, Imam Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Zuhali, they said to people, go and ask him in his gathering, in front of everybody, about this mas'ala. When you recite the Quran, is this you created or the word of Allah? And so on. And of course, he wants, of course, people to not to listen to him. Because what happened when Imam Bukhari comes in, if nobody goes to Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Hudhali anymore, and everybody went to Imam al-Bukhari. And that, of course, jealousy. Human beings are human beings. So they asked Imam Bukhari about this a number of times, and he refused to talk about it. But they kept asking him, and he said, Al-Quran, Kalamullah, and my qira'ah is my recitation. Right? And then they took this and said, okay, he's kafir, he's fasiq, his aqidah is corrupt, don't take from him, don't listen to him. And these other scholars, Muhaddiseen, they said the same thing, and they want people to hate Al-Imam Al Bukhari, and many people did. No one stayed with him except Imam Muslim. Imam Muslim, yeah, his student, Naysaburi. We'll talk about him tomorrow, inshallah. So Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Bukhari, this issue made a big fitna, and they told people, don't listen to him, don't write anything from him, he's fasiq and this and that. So one of his students came to him and he told him, what should we do now? This Muhammad ibn Yahya has great authority in this Naysabur area, and we cannot even talk to him. What should we do? Imam Bukhari came to listen and said, Mufawwala amri ila Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of me. I will just leave Samarkand. He was planning to stay there, but he said, I will leave. Then he went to Bukhara, his hometown, not far from Samarkand. And the Amir of Bukhara, there, of course, people again welcomed him, were very happy to see him. And the Amir, the governor or the mayor of this city, Bukhara, sent to him and he said, I want you to come to teach my kids the Sahih, help them memorize it, and al-Tarikh al-Kabir. And Imam Bukhari apologized. And he said that either come to my house or to my masjid. And of course, the governor did not like it. He said, okay, I will send my kids to you, but I want them only to be there, to have their private. He said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do that. Knowledge is to be respected. I cannot have a special meeting with the governors, with the children of the royal family. I cannot do that. And he did not like it. It actually made him more angry at him. And then Muhammad ibn Yahya from Samarkand wrote a letter to this Amir, and the Amir already was angry at him. And he told him that don't let anybody listen to him. Prohibit you from listening to Bukhari because he has a corrupt aqidah and he's fasiq and so on. And then he wrote, and people said no. People said no. We like Al Bukhari and we want to listen to him, but he forced Al Bukhari to leave Bukhara. Imagine this great Imam had been kicked out of Samarkand and then kicked out of Bukhara, and then he was very sad, of course, but he did not change his mind because he said what he believed, and then. He left to a city not far from Samarkand also, and he has some relatives there, and he stayed there for some time, and he got very sick. He got very sick. And one night after his Qiyam al-Layl, he was heard saying that, Ya Allah, this vast earth has been very narrow. And He said, it's time for you, please, would you please take me to you? And soon after, he was going out and he to the masjid and he did not feel good. And people were holding him, supporting him. And he said, you know what, I don't feel good, take me back home. They took him back home and he died. Radiallahu anhu wa ardah. This was the last day of Ramadan and the night of Eid. So they prayed Eid, then they prayed Dhuhr and the Janazah on the day of Eid. And he was buried after Salat al-Dhuhr on the day of Eid. He was 62 years old. Radiallahu anhu wa ardah. This was in 256 Hijri. 256, in the middle of the 3rd century. Imam Muslim, we all say Al Bukhari or Muslim, right? Muslim is his student. Imam Muslim said to Al Bukhari, please allow me to kiss your feet. Ya Ustad al Asatid, or Ustadin, you are the master of the masters. Right? And Imam al-Tirmidhi, one of the 6 he mentioned, he said, I did not see anyone in Iraq or Khurasan, Samarkand around, knows the ilal and tarif and asanid like Muhammad ibn Ismail. By the way, his name is Muhammad ibn Ismail ibn Ibrahim ibn al-Mughira al-Ja'fi al-Bukhari. So al-Bukhari is the city, the name of the city. What is known as al-Bukhari. But his name is Muhammad. It's easy to memorize because Ismail is the son of Ibrahim, right? So he's Muhammad ibn Ismail, Abu Abdullah. His nickname is Abu Abdullah. Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Ismail ibn Ibrahim ibn al-Mughira, right? Barazdaba or Baradzaba is a Persian name that's not part of his name. It's actually a wasf, means that the farmer, but it's not part of his name. So Muhammad ibn Ismail ibn Ibrahim ibn al-Mughira al-Ja'fi al-Bukhari. Imam Tajuddin al-Subki, one of the great Shafi'i scholars, said Al-Bukhari was the Imam of the Muslimin and he was a role model for the believers. وَشَيْخُ الْمُوَحِّدِينَ وَالْمُعَوَّلْ عَلَيْهِ فِي أَحَادِيثِهِ. He is the one who has the greatest authority when it comes to hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Someone actually saw in his dream Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam after the death of Bukhari. He did not know, what. At the same time when Bukhari died, he found out later on. He said, I saw in my dream that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and some of his Sahaba are standing in a particular road and waiting. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, what are you waiting for? He said, I'm waiting for Muhammad ibn Ismail, waiting for him to come. And he said, when he woke up, I learned that Imam Bukhari died at the same time when I saw my dream. SubhanAllah.
So who saw this dream?
One of his
students?
Yeah. He said, I'll end with something he's saying. He said, I did not put any hadith in my book, Sahih Bukhari, unless I take a shower and pray to rak'ah. And he says, I didn't know anything that's needed for people except it's in the Quran and in the Sunnah of Prophet. In other words, Quran and Sunnah covered everything that people need in their life. He said, I don't want to talk about anything that has to do with dunya unless I say Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. He does not like to talk about dunya and business. And he says, I wish I meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He does not hold me accountable for ghiba I did against anybody. Ghiba, backbiting. Why is that? Why this in particular? Because ulama al-hadith, you have, as I said, thousands of people, thousands of names in different chains of narrations. And sometimes we have to say, no, don't take hadith from this person. That's called jarh. Jarh means wound, by the way. But the jarh, the person said, no, this person is not trustworthy, don't take hadith from him. And the scholar has to say that. He has to say that. And the ulama al-hadith, after this person is trustworthy, this person no, is kadhab, is a liar. This person is not thiqah, not trustworthy. This person, because he's, let's say, Shi'i, then he adds something in the narration from his own pocket. So you have to talk negatively sometimes about people. This part of the business. But Imam Bukhari usually does not use very tough words to describe a person. He said, Matruk al-Haditha. I said that ulama don't like to take hadith from him. It's better not to take hadith from him. He does not say he's a liar or he's this and that. So he says, I wish I meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he does not hold me responsible for backbiting, because I have to say what I have to say about people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a very short discussion about Imam Bukhari, otherwise it would take much longer to talk about his work and his life. Allah ta'ala.
At what age did he travel, and what age did he write?
He started traveling when he was young, and he became a great authority, it's written here, when he was 17. And they said he does not have any hair in his face. He was very young, but he was a great authority. When he travels, the whole city goes to welcome him. So he started very early on, and subhanAllah, I feel when I read about Imam Bukhari and other ulama, but especially Imam Bukhari, that it's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this man in this time with this amazing ability to do this particular job. Because as I said, a person with this amazing mental ability, he could have been a very arrogant person. But to have this amazing, sharp mind, very strong memory, all this knowledge, at the same time is very humble, and has a lot of taqwa and iman, and is extremely generous. When the money comes that people do business with, he comes and gives people right and left. To have all these things together, it's Allah made someone to do this particular job. Allah. So we always should pray for these great scholars who did not enjoy their life, actually, as we see many people out of scholarship, they actually accumulate wealth out of this. But he actually designated everything in his life and devoted everything to Allah, to his Rasulullah, and to serve this ummah. And the people who fought against him, Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Duhani, who hears about him? We hear about him now in a negative way. Everybody knows Imam Bukhari. Everybody knows Imam Bukhari. And his contribution and sincerity. This is what stayed. This is what blessed a work. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed his life and his work, and we know that Rasulullah said, when someone passes away, no more good deeds added to his record, except someone who has a son praying for him, but his son, when his son is dead, that's it. Nobody will remember him. He'll be forgotten. أو علم ينتفع به. Knowledge that he will benefit from. Every single day, every single hour, someone is benefiting from Imam Al Bukhari. Right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless his soul. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise him to the level of Nabiyina wa Siddiqina wa Shuhada wa Salihin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from him. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him the best of his reward for his service to this ummah and for preserving the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.